Okay, so the other day you had to do the exercise in page 113 about changing the word, okay, the form of the word to get the other options. I think I sent you the answers too, so you're supposed to have done that and send me a picture of that. So I told you to that because now we have this, okay? Sometimes when you have to change the word, you need a prefix. Pre is a prefix itself, which means a little word or a particle which is added at the beginning. That's why it's pre. Pre is before. Okay, you have it here, for example. You see, you can use this as an example. Predate is that something happened on a prior date, like before something. Okay, so it's very important because sometimes you do need a prefix to modify the word. Okay, so those are a bit difficult. So I want you to look at these other four prefixes: hyper, means, super, and inter. And looking at the word too, try to guess the meaning of that prefix. So I told you pre is like before, like post, like post-war. Post is afterwards. We use the same in Spanish, like post-comunión, for example. So post. Okay. So pause the video, do the exercise. I'm going to tell you the answers now. Okay. So super is extreme, like super strong or super difficult or super like supermarket. Super is like very big. Okay. Now bad, if you misbehave, is that you don't do it well, you behave badly. If you misspell, now one thing important about this, for example, the spelling, misbehave. Okay, so how many s's? One. Now for example, spell has an s. Miss, so when you write misspell, it's not that you double the s, it's that you have one s for miss and one s for spell. So both together you have misspell. Okay, so notice that. Okay, you can make a little note there in your book. So miss is badly. You can think of more words. Okay, misbehave, misunderstand, perhaps, misinterpret, misrepresent. Anyway, so for hyper, hyperactive is too much. You are too active, and it's negative. Hyperactive, hyperbole, more than usual. Okay, hyperbole in Spanish. And now inter is between. Now that's an example. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to see if you realize an example. Is the most common one is inter. It's so common that perhaps you don't even realize that inter there is a prefix. International, between nations. International cooperation, so cooperation between nations. Okay, inter-war period is the period between two wars. Okay, so this is important, okay, that you understand the meaning. Also, when you are reading, this will help you understand. Now, are you looking at that? Number 2, read the task. Okay, so how does it change when you use under or over? For example, you achieve. I want you to think, you achieve your objective. So if you underachieve, do you achieve it? No, because under is below. Imagine you need a 5 and you get a 4, so you underachieve, or you have underachieved in that exam. Overachieve is to do more than you were supposed to, okay, or you wanted. So undercharge, charge here means that you are made to pay. So for example, last month you were charged 52 euros for the lessons. Okay, in February you were charged, so se cobró. So undercharge is that you were charged less. Overcharge, for example, sometimes when there's a book, when you are given a book, then you are overcharged. Okay, you have to pay extra. That is, you are overcharged. Now cook, the same, undercook. If the food is undercooked, it will be a bit hard. If it is overcooked, if it is pasta or rice or potatoes, they will be too soft. If it is meat and you overcook it, then it will be burnt. So it will be very tight. Now, Underdo is not very common. I don't think I've seen underdo. For example, overdo, don't overdo it. So I want you to do your work, because remember, you are doing like 1 hour of class work and then some homework. So, but I don't want you to overdo it. I included some suggestions on Google Classroom. So if you have time in your board, you can do it. It will help you for sure. But don't overdo it. Don't do too much. Okay. Here, estimate. Estimate is you make an estimation. I made an estimation, and in the first email I said that this situation would go on at least until May. So I said count on a month and a half until we go back to school, and it's already going to be 2 extra weeks, that is until Easter, so we're not going to go back for 2 days. So the earliest would be after Easter, Semana Santa, like the 23rd, 24th, and I'm not even sure about that. Okay, so estimate. If you underestimate, is that, for example, we have underestimated the danger of coronavirus, of COVID-19. We thought it wasn't so serious, but we underestimated it. Okay, and then I don't think any countries are overestimating it. To overestimate is to think that it's more than it actually is. Okay, you can also underestimate a team or overestimate a team, or you think they are really, really, really good and then they aren't so good. So if they are worse than you thought, then you overestimated them. Underfeed or overfeed is to give food. So you underfeed, give less food. Overfeed, give more food. Then it's good. In the Hunger Games, one of the characters says, Katniss, the main character says that in her district they have been underfed for a long time, so they have been given less food than they should. So for example, you have one there. Underwork, I don't think I've seen underwork. And then overwork. To overwork people is to make them work too much, or to be overworked, that you are working too much. So I write this as homework, but I want you to write at least 5 sentences. For example, this meat is overcooked. I can't even cut it, for example. Or I've been overfed for the last week, so I've gained a couple of kilos. Okay, so you can write that 5 sentences. So you can go to, I'll show it to you here now that I already showed you a video, but you can go to any better here. Okay, you go here to the task. Here, for example, I can't do it because I'm not the teacher, but you go to a task, and here you would get something, and you can create a document. I can't do it because this is the teacher's page. Okay, so you can do that and create a document there, and just type the sentences and you send them to me. Okay, so now what about this prefix re? For example, when you review or you refasten, I've seen that in the other book, or you rebuild, it means, or redo. Some of you may have to redo the conditional exercise. So this means again. So view again, build again. Okay. Now let's go to the exercise itself. So stage fright. Stage is when singers go on stage. That's the stage. And fright is when you are very afraid. So stage fright is this fear you get of being in front of lots of people. And befriend is to become friends. Okay. So remember, procedure for this exercise. First of all, you read the text, forget, okay? Put it like this. You can cover it, you forget about the gaps, okay? So pause the video and read it. How did he overcome stage fright? Okay? Again, overcome is to get over it, superar. So pause it, read the text. Now, you need to decide if you need a noun. Remember, normally you have this structure, the, blah, 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 and then you have a noun. If there's an word in between, it's probably an adjective. If there's another word, perhaps another adjective or an adverb. Okay, and when it's a verb, it's quite obvious. So you have noun, verb, adjective, and I'm sorry for this. It's difficult to write here. Okay, an adverb. So, which is sometimes you need the verb because this is the passive by musicians. So, underestimate it. So, people think that it's not very serious, but it is serious. So, musicians sometimes underestimate it. Okay, so this is what you need to do. After preposition, if there's only one word, then you need the noun. Okay, so after you've read it, you go through it and you think about what word you need, and then you try to write it down and be careful with the spelling. Okay, so for example, this one is difficult, but we've seen it. It appears in Speak Out Intermediate. You need one. So anyway, okay, so think about the word that you need and be very careful with the spelling. So pause the video, do the exercise. I'm going to give you the answers. Okay. Now, remember, before you do it, you have the tip here. Okay. Make sure you read your answers and the whole text to see if it makes sense. Things like positive, negative, singular, plural, these will depend on the rest of the text. Okay, depending on the verbs that you have or the context, especially positive, negative. So you need to have understood the text well to see if you need positive or negative. Okay, so I'm going to show you the answers. Make sure you've read it first. Take a red pen and cover them carefully, and then you should record them in part 3. Okay, I'm going to give you a little explanation for each of them. So accurate is precise. Accuracy is the noun for it. Now, notice this. Incapable of, highlight that please. Okay, incapable of doing something. So incapable, and also write down somewhere there. Write down, you have incapable of ing, but then you have unable to do. So I was incapable of doing the homework. I was unable to do the homework. Okay, sometimes you have one, sometimes you have the other one, and they are different. The meaning is the same, but the structure is different, so you're likely to get confused. Okay, various is like different. It's like in Spanish, various, like different therapies. Now, after very, you have, well, sorry, I didn't explain this. After verb to be, incapable of doing. He was tired of, incapable of, bored with. Now, after trying, you have a noun. A word before a noun must be an adjective normally. So various different therapies. I being very, so you are very, I'm very, for example, I'm very stupid. So I'm stupid, I'm very stupid. After an adverb, you normally need an adjective. Aim for, I told you before, in the example that I gave you at the beginning, after preposition or they or things like that, you normally have a noun. Preposition, they, some, any, my, your, his. If there's only one word, it's a noun. So the noun, perfection. Again, the same as before. The, you need a noun, the solution. To eliminate, you eliminate something. So you need a noun. Anxiety. This one appears, I think, in the final test for this book. And this is a verb. You gain is like obtain. Okay, remember, gain is used with abstract nouns. So you gain confidence, you gain someone's trust. And regain is to gain it again. It's like recover. Okay, so after to, you help someone to do something. So it was a bit difficult. So look, notice it, for example, I think I corrected this when I corrected your homework last week. You trust someone, not trust in or trust on. You trust someone. Okay. So I hope it went well, but this one was difficult. So, and here, for example, why do you think people experience stage fright? This could also include when you have to give another presentation in class. At high school, I remember being very afraid. I mean, having a hard time, getting all hot and sweaty because I got nervous. So it's similar to stage fright. So imagine if you're in front of 1,000 people or 20,000 people. So one thing about the speaking, you won't have a partner now to speak, so I'd really suggest you actually speak to the computer the way I'm doing now. I know I'm recording a video, but you should try to, whenever you have speaking here, to do it. Otherwise, when you come back after 2 months or whatever, you're going to find it very hard to speak. It will be as if you hadn't done anything for 2 months. Even if you're doing the exercises properly, you need to make an effort and try to answer the questions. So for example, I think it's common to feel anxiety because there's a lot of pressure. So when people feel pressure, they are likely to become anxious. So when you don't have enough time to do something, for example, some of these days I'm feeling a bit anxious because my children have homework to do. So I have to be doing the homework, I have to be checking your homework, and then lots of people have problems with the homework. Then I have to be chasing people down and their parents. Then I have to prepare the lessons, prepare all the material, do the exams, translate the sentences of Rebecca. I have to do lots of things. So sometimes I get this anxiety. Okay. And I don't know, you can think about the best way to overcome these fears. I think it's like little by little. You can use this expression. You shouldn't throw yourself in at the deep end. You should do it little by little. So first you should practice like speaking. Instead of publicly, you should speak here in your room. Then you could try speaking like in front of people you know, like your parents or some friends. And then after that, going from that to speaking in front of your class won't be so difficult. And going from that to speaking in front of the whole school wouldn't be so difficult because you'd be taking little baby steps. Okay, so for example, that's my one of my ideas. Okay, so you can think about this and actually speak to the computer. I would like to, if I had unlimited time and I only had 2 students, you could record your answers and send them to me. But since I don't have the time and there are more than 100 students, it's physically impossible for me to listen to everybody and correct everybody and do it. So please practice, otherwise it's going to be a bit hard for you when you come back. Okay, so thank you very much. That is today's lesson.